AI gets lots of bad headlines, but could it become a tool for fairness? We welcome back today's guest, Cheryl Bedford, to analyze how AI could provide opportunities for marginalized communities. Cheryl, welcome back to the spotlight.
Hey, Bobby. And by the way, I love your theme music. I was just sitting here before you
Oh, I
came
saw you
on.
dancing. It was good. I saw you bopping. Okay, but let's focus on this conversation. So it's interesting because you came on before. You were amazing, and I've actually gotten some really good feedback on your episode. But you brought up something really powerful. It was a previous conversation. You mentioned, AI might create more opportunities for marginalized communities, which surprised me. But I see the logic. So let's just expound on that a little bit. Like, why do you think that?
So I think AI is a useful tool. I think where we go off the rails is like asking Chat GPT to do an entire screenplay for us,
Hmm.
mainly because of the data mining. But I do think that it can be a useful tool, especially regarding things like special effects. Um, and I do think that that can help to even out what's going on in Hollywood,
Hmm.
right? Because there are whole discussions about the fact that Hollywood rolling back, diversity and marginalized filmmakers and all of that. So I think that you will see more and more people doing their own thing and using AI as a tool. I think it gets murky because of the fact of most of these data centers are across the South and Black communities. I believe the electricity bill has gone up 267%, dirtier water. So I absolutely think that there needs to be a balance. And I think that those communities are specifically fighting back. I think it's going to get harder now, obviously, with the Supreme Court ruling and less representation.
Hmm.
But as far as marginalized filmmakers go, yeah, I do think that it is a very useful tool to to help even the playing field, right? You don't necessarily need to go to a studio or a production company. You can do your own thing, pop it on YouTube, make smaller content or shorter content, I should say. Do a vertical series, things like that. And that is what can help even out the playing field. So I do
Hmm.
think it is a very useful tool for marginalized filmmakers.
Look, I think it's an interesting argument and one I tend to agree with. So it's interesting because obviously there's negatives, there's positives, there's pros and cons to AI. But you pretty much only see the bad headlines about AI. So why do you think that people are not pointing out, I mean, some really intelligent arguments like you just made?
I think it has to do with AI taking over jobs,
Mm.
right? That is what we are talking about, and that's why I said it is a useful tool. I do not advocate it for replacing a human being. I don't. But as far as being a useful tool, absolutely, right? And I think that it was always going to happen. We've gone from, silent films to talking films to black and white to color to 35 to digital. It is just it's technology.
Mm.
And I think if we don't understand the uses as marginalized people, right? And let's remember what that means. That means we have been pushed to the margins. I think we absolutely need to understand AI. I think we, excuse me, I think we need to understand AI. I think we should educate ourselves in it because it can help to level the playing field as far as representation goes.
Yeah, look, we only have 30 seconds to the break. Is it very simple? It's just finally, kind of anybody has access to production resources.
Exactly. And that's very important.
Right.
So yeah, I know. I think people think that I would be like, no, AI bad. Okay, AI isn't going anywhere. It's not going
Mhm.
anywhere. It's only going to get better,
You know,
right? I
so
don't want.
I'm going to go to the break. I want to talk
Sure.
distribution. You have so many brilliant things to say. I've got three more segments with Cheryl Bedford on the spotlight. Welcome back to the spotlight. I'm here with Cheryl Bedford. Okay, Cheryl, we're talking about AI democratizing production resources. Although it's
Mhm.
interesting because we're talking about marginalized communities, we're talking about access, really, power. But distribution, I think, is still centralized, right? So what is that relationship? So even if AI democratizes production resources, what about distribution?
That's why we have the internet.
Mm,
Whether you want to call it Beyonce's internet, whether you want to, call it Al Gore's internet, we have the internet.
mm,
And social media, these are the things, the tools, again,
mm.
that's technology. We just have to make sure that we aren't behind the learning curve,
Okay.
right? It's like even so many young filmmakers I've met today learned on YouTube, right? They didn't have the student loan bill I had from NYU and AFI. Um, so I do think we need to be careful and there needs to be education. But again, we need to make sure that we are educated on it because it's not going anywhere.
Right.
That would be as silly as saying, that there were always going to be silent films. And now we look at it, right? Or that there were always going to be black and white television shows. So we have to learn those tools. What I don't want people to do is to rely solely on those tools. It is a tool
Right.
like anything else,
Okay, let me ask you. Let
like
me
a
ask. Let me
camera.
ask. Let me ask you a question, Cheryl. It's interesting, right? Because we're talking about democratization. We're talking about decentralization. But there's still like a centralized group in Hollywood that has a lot of money, and it's really hard to get the Hollywood Reporter to cover you, and be distributed by the top streamers and everything. Like, are you saying that the creator economy has sort of leveled the playing field, or are you saying that maybe the centralized pipeline doesn't matter as much as it used to?
I don't think it matters as much as it used to.
Okay.
I really don't.
Hmm.
I think that people are making a living, um, creating their content and putting it up on somewhere on social media, right? Whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. So yeah, I do. It's not the same. Like it's absolutely not the same. But again, also, let's face it, you're going to get noticed doing these things if you do it well. And how do we know that? Look who's getting into vertical series these days. The ABFF just they added vertical series this year. Urban World, I believe, added vertical series this year. It's not going to be long until we have vertical series at Sundance, Toronto International Film Festival, my favorite film festival in the world. Shout
Right.
out to Canada,
Yeah.
to Toronto. So yeah, and who would have thunk it?
Interesting.
Who would have
So,
thunk it 2 years ago?
well, I mean, maybe you would have, right? I mean, you're always ahead of the curve. I mean, so are you seeing this? Let's call it the decentralization of Hollywood. Do you see this as the dominant trend for the business moving forward?
I think that there are always, uh, I think with technology, that there will always be a way for filmmakers who don't feel like they got a shot in Hollywood,
Hmm.
or that their shot is over, or that everything is a pendulum, it swings, that their voices are not being heard. I think that we will always find a way as marginalized people to have our voices heard.
And it seems like the technology has made it a lot easier to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just gonna say it. We have a vertical series coming out. We're launching in June. Our total investment was, as an organization, was $150.
Wow.
That levels the playing field, Bobby. It's
Uh,
called the
yeah.
Ex-Wives Club.
Well, look, we'll plug it again at the end. But I think it's amazing what you're saying too, because one thing I know is you're not afraid to speak truth to power. So when you say this, right, there's no coddling, right? It's like this is something you believe. Okay, I'm excited to have you for two more segments. We got Cheryl Bedford on the spotlight. Welcome back to the spotlight. I'm here with Cheryl Bedford. Okay, Cheryl, we're talking technology, and we're talking about technologies that are useful for marginalized communities to create more
Mhm.
access. Are there any other technologies other than AI that you think can be useful?
Um, Bobby, Clubhouse, back in the
Right.
day,
Uh-huh.
anything, those audio apps, and
Hmm.
and they still exist and are still connecting people. That's how you and I met.
Yep.
It's how I met Brenda Gilbert, co-founder of Braun Media with 38 Oscar nominations, and now she's a board member. She and I became
You didn't
friends.
know her before you met on Clubhouse.
I met her on Clubhouse.
Wow.
I met Sandra Bullock on Clubhouse. I met Whitney Cummings on Clubhouse. I met a lot of people on Clubhouse. And a lot of those relationships I still have. Obviously, I'm here with you.
Yeah.
Because I think that people actually care about people who look like you and me
Mm.
and the issues that we talk about. I think we're still in touch with a lot of those people. So, and we'll see what's coming down the pike. I just want to make sure that the communities who are usually kept out, that they know about the technology,
Mm.
right? That they aren't afraid of it because it's not going anywhere at all.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think tech education is needed for marginalized communities?
Yes. I think that so it's interesting. Bill Duke had a youth camp for years. He has since here in LA. He has since moved to Atlanta, Georgia. Um, and Bill taught things like to young people, young Black and Brown people. He taught things like technology. He also taught financial literacy. So I think that, yeah, I absolutely think, but I also think that you can find tutorials on YouTube,
Right. Right.
right? I that's it, yeah, YouTube Film School. So yeah, I absolutely think that we need to stay on top of it, and at the same time, because we can walk down I can walk down the street and chew gum at the same time. I can talk about AI as a tool for marginalized people and technology as a tool and still say, don't put that data center in one of the most vulnerable areas, right?
Sure.
Like we can do both. It's not you can do both.
It's interesting what you're saying, right? Because there are things I know, but you articulate things so well, and it's true, right? Like I think I pivoted my whole career after Clubhouse, and it's created so many opportunities. But I guess I spent my whole career, multi-decade career, feeling so frustrated I didn't have access or limited access, and then Clubhouse opened my mind with the creator economy and all the technologies. Like hold on, like the people who I haven't been able to meet my whole life, here they are. Like you're right. Like technology really opens up a lot of doors.
Excuse me. Yes. But there is something else to be said. Bobby, you would get on Clubhouse and you would host rooms. I hosted rooms, you hosted rooms. There were times when we co-hosted rooms. It's about wanting to learn,
Mhm.
wanting more. Look, I'm just going to say it. I am going to be 60 this year. And one of my
You
mentors,
don't look
Nima
60.
Barnett, thank you. And Nima But one of my mentors, Nima Barnett, she is the first Black woman to ever win an Emmy directing comedy. Nima told me years ago, teach. It'll keep you young and it'll keep you in the know.
Mm.
And even if you aren't formally teaching, I absolutely think that if there is a new technology, learn about it. If there is a new app, right? Get on there. You don't know if it's going to work for you, how it's going to work for you, but do not be afraid of it because it can be an equalizer.
Yeah, it's brilliant, right? I mean, it's so forward thinking, but it's also, when you're in a disadvantaged position, I mean, you have to like maximize every opportunity you can get because you don't know when you're gonna get the next one. Um, anyway, sure, you're gonna have to come back. I mean, I say it all the time because you are coming back because you're just such a good guest. But I got you for one more segment today. We've got Cheryl Bedford on the spotlight. Welcome back to the spotlight. I'm here with Cheryl Bedford. Okay, Cheryl, look, we've talked about a lot of things, technology and access and resources, but let's wrap up a little bit. Let's summarize. So, how do you think AI will play out for marginalized communities?
As always, I think that it can help, whether it is special effects, whatever it is, right? And I say special effects a lot, mainly because that is where I have seen it the most in usage of people who want to do a short film and may not have the money or the resources for special effects. So yeah, I think it can be a great equalizer. Just don't let it take over. And what I mean by that is for those who want to be in the film industry, television, music, um, it's still you. You are the creative force behind it. It's a tool. It should not be the be all to end all.
Okay. Before we get into final thoughts, what do you got? What do you got cooking? What Cheryl got cooking? Plug your stuff. Let's hear it.
So along with the technology thing, so we have a podcast. We have our Woke You podcast that we have done. And like I said, we have our new vertical series. And here, I just quickly how it came about. I realized that so the platform that we use for our podcast is the same platform we use to shoot, whether record our vertical series.
Oh, wow.
And so it came about because on Juneteenth of last year, and with the election, and I could tell that my members were down. So I hosted a virtual cocktail hour. And as everybody was talking, and I'm looking at the screen, and I'm like, we have everything here to do our own thing.
Mhm.
We created the writers created a writer's room. We had a showrunner. We had a director. We did auditions because there was a casting director on that Zoom. So, I was just like, instead of lamenting, right? Why don't we do something? Something. And here's the thing, Bobby. Even if our vertical series does not do well, what we cannot take away is the fact that now people have experience in a writer's room, right? People have experience directing. People have the experience of putting it all together. And because I am an experienced producer, line producer, production manager, contracts were signed. We put in the copyright. So when I say $150, really, it was the cost of the platform that we were already paying for because we were doing the Woke You podcast and the copyright. But yes, we put in a copyright. I did a work for hire with the
Okay,
writers.
let's
We all did
pause. Let's
contracts.
pause for a second before we wrap up.
Mhm.
You have to come back again now, Cheryl, and you have to tell me how you did a vertical series for $150. I don't know, like if it's like you've just had me wrapped around your little finger, but it's like you're so good at like finding these angles that are also so brilliant. Um, let's come back. We'll plan offline, talk about this vertical series, because it's a very inspirational thing that you're doing, but it's also so brilliant financially. I don't even know how the hell you do that. Okay, we have 1 minute left. Let's wrap up. Give me your final thoughts.
Don't be afraid. And if you are afraid, do it anyway. People tell me I'm fearless. No, I'm not. I'm scared like everybody else. I'm human like everybody else. I just do it anyway,
Mm.
authentically.
Yeah,
That's my advice.
and you authentically made a vertical series for
$150.
$150.
Everybody worked for free, but yes, I will come
Well,
back.
sure, but it says there's a lot in that. And look, we're gonna do a whole episode on it. Um, yeah, we'll just figure it out. But look, I appreciate your leadership. I appreciate your perspective, your wisdom, and I don't know. You never stop surprising me, Cheryl. So thank you for coming.
Well, thank you. And thank you again for having me. And I hope people aren't getting tired of me. And I will bring the cast and crew of the X Wives Club next time I see you.
All right. AI is complex, but it could be the solution to inequality. In fact, Cheryl's conversation taught us so much about all of technology's possibilities. We'll see you next time on The Spotlight.